because the Father allowed all this to happen, and Lucifer to do all this stuff, all this evil. Isaiah 45:7, the Father says, I make peace and create evil. I make light and darkness. I, the Lord, I, the Father, I'm doing all of this. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story, and this is a true story. I want you to relax. This is a true story that happened to me when I was about 9 years old. My father was not a born-again Christian. But he was a loving, wise father most of the time. Sometimes he'd get angry and didn't act very nice. But I know the Lord led him to teach me something. And the way he taught me is an example of how the Father allowed the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the serpent and all this that happened in the Garden of Eden. My father was a very good swimmer. So I was the firstborn in the family, and my dad started teaching me how to swim when I was very little. So we would go to the swimming pool, and I knew how to swim very well, but I was afraid to swim in the deep water. I was afraid if I swam in the deep water, I would drown. So I stayed at the end of the pool that was shallow, and I could stand up and the water would come to about here. But the water wasn't over my head. I could stand up. I'd swim a little bit, and if I got scared, then I'd stand up, and I knew I was okay. My father knew I was going on 10 years of age, and he said, Michael, he knew that I should learn to swim in deep water. So he was at the other end of the pool where the water was deep. And he said, Michael, come down here now, and I want you to swim down here. So I went down there, and he said, Michael, go out in the diving board and dive off and swim to the side, and I know you'll be okay. Go ahead and do it. He said, it's time for you to learn to swim in the deep water. He said, Daddy, I said to him, Daddy, no, I can't do that. I'm afraid I will drown. No, he said, no, Michael, you're okay. You know how to swim. You won't drown. So he got in the water, and he coached me and got me to go out on the diving board. And he said, okay, Michael, come on, jump off, dive off, and I'm right here. I won't let you drown. And so finally, I believed him. And I jumped in the water and I said, Daddy, Daddy, catch me. But he didn't catch me. You know what he did? He said, Michael, swim, swim. You can swim, you can do it. And so I started to swim. And behold, I didn't go down, I was able to swim. This was a big surprise, a shocking revelation. My father was right, I could swim in the deep water. And I swam to the side of the pool and I said, I can swim in deep water, I can swim in deep water. So that was the beginning of a new life for me. My father allowed me to help me to overcome my fear. Now I want you to think about Jesus out on the Sea of Galilee, and he's walking in the water, and Peter's in the boat, and he sees Jesus. And the disciples see Jesus walking in the water, and Peter says, Lord, is it you? And Jesus said, yes, it is I. Don't be afraid. Jesus was always saying, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. Fear is our greatest enemy. And we find that in 1 John, fear has torment. But perfect love casts out fear. I believe that's in 1 John 5. And so Jesus told Peter, when Jesus said, don't be afraid, Peter says, Lord, if it's really you, bid me to come. Invite me to come out to you. And Jesus said, come. And so Peter started, and do you know what happened? Peter was really walking in the water. Isn't that amazing? Now how did Peter do that? How was he able to walk in the water? Through the faith of Jesus. Jesus said, come. You can do it. Don't be afraid. Come to me. I am with you. I will help you. So Peter started walking. He's walking in the water. And what do you think Peter was saying? Wow. Wow, I'm really walking in the water. I'm walking on the water. Wow. Man, I can't believe it. And as soon as he said that, you see, that was doubt. And Jesus reached out his hand and said, "O thou of little faith, wherefore?" Why did you doubt, Peter? Let's look at Mark 11. Mark 11, read it through, and Jesus makes a promise here. And he said that if you believe and have no doubt, then that you can do anything. Okay? I didn't mark it here in my Bible. But you know where that verse is. Anyway, what? 21? Okay, yes, thank you. Mark 11:21. And Peter remembered, said to him, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree has withered away." Jesus answered and said to them, "Have faith in God, for I say to you, whoever shall say to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says." Verse 24. "Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them." Okay. Now, let me tell you a story here. I heard this on a tape. This evangelist was telling about how he was in a meeting, and there was a girl there that had her eyes crossed. She was cross-eyed, her eyes were crossed. Okay, and so what happened was that they requested prayer for this girl, and he prayed for this girl. And right there, when he prayed for her in front of all the people, her eyes went straight and were healed. Now, I don't know why he did this, but he saw this miracle right in front of his eyes, and he looked at her, and he saw her eyes were normal now and healed, and he said, "Wow, I don't believe it." And you know what happened? The girl's eyes went back to crossing. He canceled out the miracle by his unbelief. Jesus never had any doubts, even when he was on the cross. We can discuss that later, but I want to try to finish this up, and we can talk about it later this afternoon. Okay. When the God family came together and said, "What are we going to do about this problem?" Lucifer has told a big lie.
wakwana bakwa to yokora aserikane ligasa itani abekro walipo bonga sabantu.
Satan has told the universe and the angels that I commissioned this tree of knowledge of good and evil, that I am a death god.